Hey everybody. So today we are in Hamden and we are at one of our Beekeeping 24/7 members' place. And she had some concerns and some questions with some things that were going on with her hive. So today Peter and I found some time to come and give her a hand, and we're going to go through her hives with her, address any concerns, and see what we got going on. All right, here we go.
Hello, folks.
Hello.
Let Brittany talk about what the situation is.
Hi, everybody. So I think a few days ago now, maybe 4 days ago or so, this hive definitely swarmed. I posted a video that you guys can all check out. They were all right up here. Yeah, thousands of bees. And it was, as Peter and Amy have said, you know when they're swarming. We knew something was going on. So this is the first check since the swarm happened. So concern that I have is, do I have a new queen? Am I on the verge of having a new queen? I guess that's what I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. And then any other problematic things we might uncover, since it's been a minute since I've been in this one.
Sure.
Okay, and how about your other hive?
Yep, so this is hive number 2. This one swarmed, I think, a few weeks ago now at this point. And the big question is, do I have a queen? I mistakenly, as a new beekeeper, went in and chopped off all the swarm cells. So that's, that's not helpful. Yeah. And we're going to find out today if I did in fact get a new queen, or if I potentially need to get a new mated queen. I would assume that would be one of the things we're going to explore. But yeah, and what else is going on in that hive? I'm not sure.
Well, cutting out queen cells is a perfectly legitimate way to stop swarming.
Okay.
But the thing we have to know before we do it, before we actually cut out the queen cells, is, has the hive already swarmed?
Okay.
And so that was the mistake that you made, and we've all been there.
Mm-hmm.
We've all gone through a hive, cut out. It's the only time that you successfully cut out every single queen cell is when you shouldn't have.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's cutting out queen cells is problematic. You always leave one behind by accident. And so what we'll find out is, did a queen get out before you cut the queen cells out?
Okay.
Or at least, have they successfully reared a new queen?
Okay.
So we'll find out with that one soon.
Perfect.
All right.
Why don't we go through this one first and see where we are. Swarmed about 3-4 days ago. And we have a lot of folks send in pictures as to what do we do under these circumstances. In fact, Amy and I were just talking about we should do a hive that we follow right through from swarming to recovery from swarming.
Oh, good timing.
That's
Yeah, perfect timing.
Yeah. Okay. Now, this hive looks great. Did you have a honey super on here?
I did not.
You did not.
I was thinking about adding one soon, but I...
And that's where almost everyone has their swarm, when they're thinking about having a honey super on. And they know you can see the signs that it's almost ready for honey super. And the bees have decided last week we're ready for a honey super, nice. Just ahead of you did. So that's just a matter of fine tuning. But there's also a couple of things here, just how you've laid out the frames here. For fine tuning for later, if I just show you here, the way it's best to leave the hives here, you see how you've got no gap here and no gap here, but a few bigger gaps here.
Oh, right.
What this will end up with happening is they'll make the comb fatter.
Okay.
And so if you close this up, each time you close up the hive, if you close it up and just take up the extra space on the outer edges, first of all, it means that they don't have as much built in the edges here with combs stuck to the walls, but also means they build the combs nice and much straighter.
Okay.
Okay. It also makes it easy to get your first frame out when you next go in. Okay, so still working on that. We're just about to. And what makes life easier for you when you're working it is take that first frame out and actually keep it out.
Oh, okay.
So what we could just do is we can lean it back here, get it out of your way.
You want to make sure it's not in the sun.
Its end is probably the best bet.
Oh, like that?
Again, like this. And that way the minimum amount of the frame is touching the ground. And so it's also easier to pick up. You don't have to bend down as far to pick it up as well.
That's a great tip. I've never done that.
And when you're doing that, when you're setting that down, make sure that frame's not in the sun, like direct sun, because it'll melt the wax right off it.
And that the queen's not on it.
And the queen's not on it, yeah.
Usually not.
Okay.
Okay. Now also, another easy tip here is pull this frame away from this one first with the hive tool.
With the hive tool, okay.
Yeah. And an even easier way, I'm just going to show you some of the really basic, easy things to remember. Put it in like this, and then pull it like that.
Okay.
And put it in like that, and push it like that. And it saves a lot of changing around in your hands.
Okay.
Now you can easily grab that. You see it's where they've got their building of comb just to this point. And now that we've got this room here, now we'll put it back, that one back in there. Now with swarming, 9 out of 10 swarm cells are usually hanging from the bottom of these frames, and as you can see, this is the main area of the brood upstairs, and you'll probably find the queen cells hanging from these frames here, maybe this one too, maybe even this one. So now we're getting into where the brood is likely to be. And that's it, you just separate them that way. Okay, and so if we hold it over the hive, just in case there's a queen on it, it drops out, it makes life much easier for you.
So lots of honey and pollen.
Yeah, we've got lots of older honey here. If we tip it towards the camera a little bit, see these cells here are full of nectar and relatively new honey. And this is the older honey now that's been capped, it's been cured. And the orange bits there are full of pollen, or bee bread. So it's a mixture of pollen and honey.
Cool. And then I can just set it back in.
That's
like
right,
we're talking
because
about.
we got the room. Now, does this look noticeably less bees than when you were in here last?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so this is where they're stuck to the bottom.
Oh, there's a larva,
Yeah.
and I see a queen cup. Should I pull it that way?
Oh, it's okay. I'll
I was going to look in there.
Good
Yeah,
for you.
some young larvae there. You can see a partially started queen cell there, which is charged.
What does charged mean again?
Charged means there's something in it. There's a larva or an
Okay.
egg in it. This one looks like one too. So it's these are later queen cells. These are the very last queen cells they can make because the queen left 3 or 4 days ago. These are the last queen cells they can make. So they're making them from the last larvae here because there's been no eggs laid because she's been gone for 4 days now. So the oldest larvae they can choose to make a successful queen cell are 4-day-old larvae, which is what they're starting to do here. Some honey and pollen stored there as well.
Okay. They're pretty calm.
They are nice and calm.
They are.
This is not their typical, just so you know.
Is it not?
Nah.
This one tends to be like a little feistier usually, but this
And
is
considering right now they're queenless, they would have the most excuses possible to get feisty today. Nice lot of brood. Lovely frame of brood here.
Nice
And
queen
we
cell
have
on
a
this side.
beautiful queen cell on this side, which is nice and protected as well. Let's see what's... Yes, you've got a beautiful queen cell there. The beauty of this is also that it's tucked back, so it's much harder to damage that queen cell. So you want to be really gentle with this frame because that's very possibly your new queen when she emerges later.
wow, very cool.
Let's have a look at the other side as well. That's it. It's
Be careful.
always fun to try and figure out how to turn the frame in your hand. There's another beautiful queen cell there. So these are capped queen cells, which means they're more than 8 days old, but less than 16 days old, because that new queen comes out on the 16th day.
And so because they're towards the bottom of the frame, is that like
That's what
is
a
that
swarm
an
cell.
indicator of a swarm cell?
Not
Not always, but-
yes and no.
Okay.
Typically, if you picture this is just the bottom of the top, and then you've got a whole box below it. So that's pretty much bang in the middle of
Okay.
the cluster of bees. The warmest possible part of the hive, the most stable temperatures and everything. And so that's why the queen cells typically are in that area. So the bottom of the upper chamber or near the top of the lower chamber. You can have queen cells all over the place. They can be down the sides as well. But we've got two nice ones here on your upper brood frame here. And what you also have here, I'm going to put this down gently there.
So this is a good sign I have a queen about to happen.
Oh yeah, this is
okay,
what you
based on the
need to
swarm.
leave. You need to leave that
Perfect.
now because we know the swarm is gone.
Okay.
Got lots of emerging broods. Your population is rising very rapidly. Here's a few bees coming out right now.
Wow. I've never seen that before.
Have you not?
No.
So when you see capped brood like this, and then you see it open in the middle, this is the oldest brood now emerging. So we've got baby bee there.
Wow.
And they'll be out in a few minutes.
That's so cool.
Yeah, these bees are very happy.
Yeah. Maybe they didn't like the old queen.
Yeah, a bad influence on them. Okay. Let's have a look at another frame. We've seen just about everything we're needing to find out.
I think I need to.
Nice and gently.
Sorry.
You're okay.
Sorry. Oh wow. A lot of brood
Beautiful.
on this side.
Lots of brood on this
Lots
side
of brood
too.
on this side.
See down there. Okay, so we'll turn that. That's good. Now, rather than twist it, another trick
Flip,
is
yeah.
just twist
Flip
it
it.
so it flips over. Give it a good hold of it, not that way,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
sort of
this way.
that's it.
There
That's
we
it.
go. Oh, wow.
Just hold it upside down. They're making a couple of more. If you hold it flat so you can see as well. That's it. Nice grip there. They're making some queen cells here. I'm going to tip it to the camera. You keep hold.
Okay.
I'm going to keep hold. I'm going to twist there. So they're making some queen cells here as well. These are with the remaining larvae. So that looks good. But you got loads of brood. That looks good. So I'm going to let you keep hold of it
Yep,
now.
got it.
Okay.
And look at this side.
So we can put that.
Put it back.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
This looks great.
So this really tells us everything we need to know. We don't need to go any further than that. We know there's at least 2 queen cells here. In all probability, you've got queen cells down below as well. And so the simple thing to do right now would just be slide these over and
Okay.
put the last frame back in. And you can do them all at once. Again, a nice smooth way to do it is taking your hive tool and just move them all sliding together.
Oh, nice. That's a good tip.
Yeah, and then we can do that.
The efficiency wins alone are
yeah.
a game changer.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it makes it much easier to do the. These are things that you pick up over a period of time, unless you've got something to show you.
So
Okay.
honey super and knowing when to add that, I wouldn't want to do anything. I mean, they have brood like
Had
a
they
lot
not
of brood.
swarmed, they were certainly ready for honey super now.
Okay.
The downside is the honey flow seems to have died a death locally. I've got a yard 1.5 miles from here, and they did nothing in the last week.
Wow.
Now, we've got clover in your yard, we've got sweet clover on the roadsides, so they're bringing stuff in, but not enough to accumulate it.
Okay.
So pretty much what we would say is we're in the dearth now. But the population's still growing, and this hive will be queenless, so effectively what's going to happen is all of your brood is going to emerge. That's going to make the hive full of bees again, but the new queen won't start laying until roughly all of that brood's emerged. So it'll be roughly, let's say, another 18 to 21 days from now before you start to see this new queen, assuming she mates successfully, starting to lay.
Okay.
And as it just so happens, that's roughly how long it's been since your other swarm, isn't it? So it'll be really interesting to see if they've successfully requeened in there in that time, because that'll be giving you a snapshot of what you could expect to see in another 2 to 3 weeks.
Does this kind of mean that honey harvesting for ourselves may not happen this year?
Totally
likely?
depends on if we have a full honey flow.
Okay.
If we don't get a full honey flow, yeah, you're probably not going to get any honey. But if we do get a full honey flow, I've known full honey flows fill 2 supers a week and last for 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh wow. Okay.
So we keep our fingers crossed and
Yeah.
we'll wait and see.
So it's a little unpredictable.
Right
for
now,
honey
yeah,
flow.
you've got the bulk of this area full of brood. You're going to still need plenty of honey, but we've still got month and a half before we're making that decision.
Okay.
So first week of September is when we decide if we're going to keep the honey supers on or not. But I would say put a honey super on this hive pretty soon.
Yeah.
If you've got one, may as well put it on.
It's ready. Okay.
And so
Is it foundation or is it drawn comb? It's just foundation,
Just
right?
foundation.
Yeah. So there's no queen in there.
Right.
So no queen excluder. You want them to be able to go up
Okay.
into that honey super and start building out that comb.
Okay, so I'm good to add that like tonight. I can come back out
Yep.
and put that on.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. And that's really for the space that they're going to need with all the brood.
Because you're,
and everything.
yep.
Yep.
yeah, but there will, unless you're feeding, and in this
haven't been
particular
feeding.
case, what I would do is there's still space to build in here.
Okay.
And although you're going to be putting a honey super on, I continue to feed
Okay.
until you see them starting to build that comb. They're probably not going to start building that comb till the honey flow starts. But I wouldn't hesitate to feeding one of those every day or every other day to every day,
Okay.
because that'll stop them using up the honey they've got, and it also keeps everything ticking over. In the process of curing nectar or sugar syrup, they actually produce hydrogen peroxide, and hydrogen peroxide keeps everything sterile.
Yep.
So it's a byproduct of them curing nectar,
Okay.
and so I think it's a good idea. Now, if you're putting in so much sugar syrup that they're starting to build comb and filling it with sugar syrup, then I'd take off the sugar syrup altogether. It probably means there's more nectar coming in from elsewhere than you thought. So it's time to just let them fill it up with honey.
This might be a dumb question, but does it look
No dumb
different when
questions.
it's when it's syrup versus the like?
Does
Is
it
there a
look
color
different?
to it, or is
The
there?
sugar syrup honey would be virtually colorless.
Okay.
So it starts getting more and more color the more. It depends on the flower. Some flowers produce a virtually colorless, like sweet clover produces an almost colorless honey. But yeah, it would make it much lighter than the typical fall honey.
Great. So we should put this back on, and we're
Yep.
done with
Yep.
hive 1.
So while it's swarmed,
Yep.
this hive looks in great shape.
Oh, good.
So
Okay.
I wouldn't worry about it at all.
Did I stop feeding too soon? I feel embarrassed to say this, but I have not been feeding them for a little bit, and I didn't
I would
know
say,
when to
yeah,
stop.
I'd say you probably did, because typically what we recommend is that you'd feed until they've built all the comb in this box and in this box.
And in that box.
So
Okay.
you were very close to this being. This is about the point at which I would have stopped and put a honey super on.
Right.
But if you stopped 3 or 4 weeks ago feeding,
Yeah.
you could have got them to build it a bit faster, and your honey super may have been started before the honey flow finished. So it's all a matter of, if there's lots of food coming in, they'll build as fast as they possibly can.
Yeah.
If you don't put in the extra food in there, they won't grow quite as fast as they could have done, and so you don't get the extra bits when the honey flow, when you could take advantage of the honey flow.
Another question. I was reading something about ventilation possibly impacting swarming behavior. Is that something that you've experienced
There is the
before?
possibility, but your hive is well ventilated as it is. You've got an upper entrance there.
Okay.
You've got some ventilation there, and you've got a full entrance here. Well, mind you, you've got a feeder in it,
Sure.
but that's adequate ventilation. I believe you've got a screen button board.
It has the white thing
Yeah,
in it.
so a screen button board, so you can take that out to increase your ventilation.
That's how you take it out?
Yeah, just pull it out.
Just slides right
Oh
out.
my
Slides in and out.
God. Just
Learning all sorts today, aren't we?
I'm not sure I
And
want
so-
this video posted with how long. I'm just kidding.
No, that's what
Oh,
that's.
wow.
You slide it out, either the
Okay.
front or the back.
What are
Usually
you
it's the
seeing on
back.
here? This is like
Just the
pollen?
normal detritus that drops from the hive. As they uncap brood cappings, it's mostly brood cappings and stuff, and it sticks on there and things. I don't see that possibly as a mite. There's possibly mites here, but if there are, they're very, very few.
Very few.
Okay.
No, that's a good sign.
Okay.
Definitely a good sign.
And you can give that a rinse, and if you're doing a mite treatment, put this back in,
Okay.
because you want the fumes from the mite treatment to stay in place.
Okay.
Now, speaking of mite treatments, because your hive is going to go broodless in about 2 weeks, that's going to be the perfect time to do your mite treatment. And you
2
could
weeks, you
use
said?
something like oxalic acid, a gentle mite treatment, because you'll have no brood.
Right.
And at that time, before you've got cat brood again, it's a good time to use like an oxalic acid vapor treatment. And then you get all the mites because they're all exposed to the bees.
Okay.
You don't even have to use something like Formic Pro, which is pretty harsh on bees. They use that harsh one when your hive is full of brood and all the mites are hiding in the brood. So keep in touch and we'll advise you on that. But I would try to plan for an oxalic acid treatment in about 3 weeks on
3
this
weeks.
hive.
Okay, that's super helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
On to the next one.
Yeah. So this is the one that's been giving you headaches up until now, right?
Yeah, it just seems super. There's not a lot going on. Like I never really see a lot of bees hanging out.
A little bit of smoke in the entrance.
Put it right into the entrance.
Yes,
There you
Oh,
go.
right in
Yeah.
there. Yeah. And as the smoke has gone down to next to nothing, it's useful to get even closer. Okay, so this hive swarmed several weeks ago. Its population looks somewhat lower than the other hive. So it wouldn't surprise me if you may even have had 2 swarms at that time.
Oh gosh.
Because and a lot of hives
And it
you just
happens.
can't control whether they have a second swarm and even a third swarm
Yeah.
or even a 4th swarm occasionally. But let's have a look in here.
I did so same. No, does the spacing look okay on this one?
The spacing looks fine on this one with that exception there.
Okay.
But what I would say here is this hive really could benefit from more feeding.
More feeding.
Because I can
okay.
see the combs aren't built here
Okay.
and not built here. So you've got a bit of comb built here.
Yeah.
So I think feeding your hives would be a good idea, particularly this one.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so we can just push them over to one side like we did before. That's it. That'll make you room to get the first frame out. And do both sides, this will be stuck here too. Okay, so we'll pop that down there. Rarely anything much to look at the outside frame. And again, just twist off.
Oops.
Again, not much to look at here. Something you have to notice here, the foundation's not quite in the frame right.
Okay.
So just to save you a bit of time for the future, just pop that into position. There we go. And now it's in the middle, and they'll build that comb nice and straight.
Perfect.
They're starting.
We're starting to draw on this side, which is nice. Okay. They have drawn more than they look like from the top. The lack of bees. And again, if you twist
yeah.
it from
Oh my
there,
gosh.
that'll be the.
Okay.
They've drawn a lot more comb than it looked like from the top. And this is where your prying tool can be helpful. Okay. Let's look at. Oh, there we go. Neck there. Okay. Not much to see on that one, but some honey on that side. Okay, so when you're using the
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay,
You're
yeah,
fine.
Oh, I see a queen cup on this side.
Okay, let's flatten it so we can both see it. Yeah, let's have a look. See a queen cup and nothing else there.
Dang.
It's not charged, is that right, or is it?
I couldn't
let's have a
quite
look.
see.
Doesn't
And
look like an
No,
exit.
that's just a queen cup. So, and if the swarm was weeks ago, it couldn't be charged. So queen cups are only the very beginning of a queen cell.
Okay.
Now, in this hive, did you put a frame of eggs in this hive?
I did. Yep.
Okay.
It's
Do you
this,
recall which
one?
frame it happened to be?
this one.
Okay, good. Okay. I'm going to show you a trick in terms of the next
Pulling out
step.
the.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now at this stage, you're always trying to do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Do it from here. It's nice and close. And you use this bit to pry onto that part here. So you see how this notch lifts onto there?
Mm-hmm.
And again here.
Oh yeah, it like
it
rests
goes.
on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you know
I
it's
see.
broken at the bottom. Now you can pick it up with your fingers really
Ah.
easily.
Good tip.
Okay, let's flatten it so we can see it now. There we go. one last cell to emerge there. They're backfilling this area with honey a little bit. Okay, how about the other side? And again, just backfilled brood that's emerged and it's full of honey now. Okay. Now again, notice how gentle the bees are being.
Yes.
That's a sign that you've probably got a queen because they're behaving nice and calmly.
I got something in my eye. Okay.
Okay. Now again,
Break it first.
Oh,
sideways first.
Do that first.
Because you can feel it, you can see that it's grabbing down below. This will help you there. Just, go ahead and lift it until it actually lifts. There you
there
go.
we go.
There
Okay.
you go, and do that side too. Whoop, missed. There you go.
There.
Because they do build wax between the two chambers,
You
and
want to
that,
lift it up nice and straight so
go.
it doesn't catch on anything.
So this was the frame of eggs that I put
Okay,
in.
so let's look at this nice and flat now. Grab a good hold of it and hold it nice and flat. And we're going to look to see if we can see any new brood in here. And in fact, we do.
Really?
Have a look. Look down there.
Oh my God! Cool.
So the queen is laying nicely in there. Even before the last of the brood on this frame has emerged. Mind you, this is one that you added, that's why. So you've got a quarter of a frame of brood there. I'll bet she's got some on the other side too. Let's have a look at the other side.
What's on the bottom there?
Just that's the bits
Or
of bridging
comb.
comb that was here, but
And a
that's a
cup.
queen cup, which they'll always build queen cups,
Yep.
but that's not a queen cell.
Okay.
That is, oh, look at all that. Oh, that's a brood you put in.
yeah.
And if you hold it flat again so you can see it, so we can both see it. In
Oh, there's
fact.
eggs
Yeah.
right there. Yep.
And you've got bees emerging as well. And you say, and look at this one's just emerged, that
Yep.
silvery one.
Oh,
Bees
wow.
emerging there.
So you can tell I have a new
You keep
queen.
holding it, tip it. Oh yeah, this is all full of eggs.
Okay.
So how long ago did you put the frame in with the?
This was over a week ago now.
So if there's
almost
eggs,
2 weeks, I would
if
say.
there, so eggs hatch into larvae in just a few days.
Oh, right.
So if you have
that's how you can
eggs,
tell.
you have a queen.
Oh, right.
So you've got
Okay.
eggs, you've got a queen, and if you
Yep.
turn it over,
I was
again,
worried it was the same frame, but you're right.
we can
That's-
tell here that we've got larvae that are at least 6 days old down there. And those 6 days, so that queen has been laying for at least 6 days. You've got a nice pattern from eggs all the way to 6-day-old larvae, and you could have them even more advanced down there.
Cool.
But you now see everything you need to know
Yep.
to say this
good.
hive's on its way again.
Wow, that's really encouraging. Okay, should I look at this one too?
By all means.
Yeah. See if she's put some eggs in them, or if it's drawn.
Nothing sticking there. Okay. Building comb,
Let's have a look.
queen cups,
Yeah, that's nothing.
nothing in it.
That's left over from the old swarming urge. Let's turn it over and see if we see eggs again. If I get it
Didn't
nice
see
and
any
flat.
eggs, but I might.
No, you're right. But they're going to start building that. As soon as you start feeding, they're going to start drawing that comb out again, and the queen will lay in there. The cells are just a bit shallow for her to lay. And we can see we've got foundation there now.
Okay.
So what I do is compact them together again. We don't even need to go into the bottom brood chamber. You see exactly what you wanted to see here.
What was that
Again,
trick
it's
you
a lot
showed me
easier.
again?
Yeah. Yeah, so what you're trying to do is this, trying to push it.
Yeah.
So just use it as a lever and just push like that.
Okay.
Just hold the other end of it. And then once you've pushed it a bit further, you can put the next frame in. Hold it a bit lower down. Just use it there. There you go.
Okay.
And then push it down there. There you go.
There we
It also straightens the combs out of it as well.
Looks good,
Nice to be
right?
doing this when it's 85 degrees, 80 to 90 degrees.
Oh, great.
Okay, now before you stop,
Yep.
let's push the frames together.
So the same thing, like
Yeah,
down
let's
here.
push them on this side and that side. Then we'll do it from that side back a bit. Yeah, that's enough. Yeah. And that's good.
Good.
Now everything's nice and packed together. Good job.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. That was way better than I was expecting.
Well, they look absolutely perfect.
Yep.
For the situation after a swarm, so that's what you were looking for at about this stage, 3 weeks after a swarm, you're starting to see the brood. So when you sent in photographs a few days ago, we thought we could see eggs.
Yeah, I remember
Now
that.
those eggs have grown into larvae. It's really easy to see them.
Awesome.
So,
Yay.
good job.
Thank you so much.
So you don't let your frustrations like get the best of you.
Yeah.
You're doing everything right. I
Okay.
mean, little tweaks here and there, and it's all about just learning, and it takes a while.
And don't lose hope.
Don't ever lose hope.
And after a swarm is the most disconcerting time because you don't know, did she make it, didn't she make it?
Yeah.
I can't see anything yet. Shouldn't I
Right.
see something by now?
What action do I need to take?
And
Right.
it's surprisingly long time from the time the swarm goes to the time afterwards. But I was confident that what we were going to find was a laying queen in here, because when you put a frame with eggs in there, they never made a proper queen
Right.
cell. Those were the proper queen cells that
Sure.
we're looking for. Queen cups, they're always around.
Okay.
So they'll make queen cups, but don't necessarily do anything with them. And so the fact that we didn't see any queen cells when you looked at them after a week,
Yeah.
the queen cells should have been fully developed and even capped after a week, because they'll take larvae that are 4 days old, so they only are going to be open cells for another 4 days before they're capped. So they'd be fully peanut sized by the time they're 5 days
Got it.
after
And
the
so
frame went in.
to make sure I understand the timeline, they swarm, and then what is that stretch of time
Well,
after
what
the
normally
queen leaves?
happens is that the queen continues laying right up to the day they swarm.
Yep.
They're making queen cells during the precursor 14 days or so. Typically, the swarm will leave within 2 days of the new queen emerging from those queen cells. So in order to avoid the new queen killing the old queen, the swarm with the old queen goes up in the trees on a certain day, and 2 or 3 days later, the first of the new queens start to emerge.
Okay.
Then she's got to go out. It'll be 5 or 6 days before she's ready to mate, and then it'll be 5 or 6 days before she can start to lay. And usually she's not laying very many in the first day, or the second day she's gradually increasing number. So very often the beekeeper won't actually see any of those eggs for several more days, unless they're really observant. And so by the time that's passed, virtually all the other brood has emerged in that time. And so that would be the timeline of them recovering normally. So because we got to a stage where there was virtually no brood in here, and we still didn't know, did we have a queen, you took a frame of eggs and put it in here.
Okay.
Because you had a queen in there, they didn't do anything with them. They just grew those larvae up, and you have some capped brood in there now, and they're advanced and everything.
Perfect.
Had it been queenless, they'd have taken some of those eggs and young larvae and made queen cells around them.
Yep.
And you'd have seen fully developed queen cells on that frame.
Okay.
But we didn't see that. So that tells us there's a queen in here. And so things have gone pretty much click, click, click since then.
Right?
And
Just the way
hopefully
it should.
the same thing will happen here.
Yeah.
But if at the point at which you're getting no brood, if you're in doubt, take one of the frames of eggs, put it in there,
Sure.
and just
test
watch
out
and
to
see what
they do.
happens. And then
Okay.
to be an expert, you'll be able to tell us,
Right.
I'm fine here.
So how far away are they from the queen hatching in that one again?
The queen has, let's see, the swarm left about 4 days ago,
Yeah.
probably has already emerged.
Okay.
Now, the ones downstairs, because when they swarm, they usually make a dozen or more queen cells.
Right.
We saw 3 of them,
3.
and they weren't emerged yet, but it could very well be that the earlier ones were built downstairs, and so
Right.
what's going to happen now is the first queen to emerge in that hive is going to go around and start killing all the other queens in the hive.
Okay.
Very occasionally you get a second swarm from the hive, but I'd say it's not likely.
Okay.
But it still could happen, so keep an eye on the trees just in case.
Sure.
Because sometimes a swarm can leave with a virgin queen, and then it's one of the next queens that emerge.
Okay.
So we know they've got queen cells that are only 4 days old in there with very young larvae in there. So they won't even emerge for another 12 days, but they're probably going to be killed by another queen before that time.
Okay.
And you'll see evidence of this later on when you go in. You'll see those queen cells with the sides ripped open.
Okay.
That means that she was killed and they they tore that out to
Brutal.
get her out of
Okay.
there. Yeah. It's a like we've said, it's a deadly game of Marco Polo right now
That's
going
right.
on in your hive.
Yeah.
So
So I
Yeah.
wouldn't hesitate to start to feed these again.
Okay.
This one in particular, well, this one, they're very much the same, similar situation. There's more comb drawn than I thought, but I'd go ahead and feed them, but not heavily, and I'd put a honey super on both of them,
Okay.
and just feed them gently. No queen excluder, and when you see comb starting to get built up there, significant comb being built up there, then shake the bees down, put the queen excluder on, and hope for a full honey flow.
At least one honey.
And then you can
harvest.
Yeah.
really stop feeding.
Okay.
Yep.
Once the comb is built out on that.
Once you've
top
got a
one.
bit of
Okay.
comb being built and you're putting your queen excluder on, I'd stop with the feeding.
Perfect. And you
Yeah.
said every other day for the feeding right now, or
I would say at
every
least
day?
every other day.
every other day?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
They'll probably empty it in 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah, they.
Especially in this heat. And so if you're feeling generous, you can give it to them every day for a bit. But
Okay.
don't let them overload the brood chamber.
With too
Because
much.
particularly that one, this one the queen has got plenty of room to lay. In that one, if you feed them heavily, they'll start filling up all the cells with nectar before the queen can start laying in 2 or 3 weeks. And then she's got nowhere to lay.
Yeah.
So gentle feeding. Every other day is probably sensible
Okay.
amount.
Perfect.
Okay.
and so you didn't even need to take notes because you're going to have this video to
I know,
refer
that's
back
what
to.
I was
Right.
thinking.
You know, every bit of it.
All the efficiency
That's right.
wins today.
That's right.
problem.
That's right.
Yeah.
Did you have any other questions or anything that we could answer for you before we?
I think you answered my question about ventilation, feeding. Trying to think if there was anything else. I
Mite
think that might
treatments are
good.
going to be soon.
Yep, mite treatments.
And so you're going to have a brood-free period in there where oxalic acid vapor would be good. Do you have an oxalic acid vaporizer?
I
yet?
don't.
Because that will be a good one for there. This one is likely to be able to be treated with oxalic acid vapor right now.
Okay.
Because the only cat brood you have in there is that last frame that was put in there before. And so that might save you doing any Formic Pro treatment and stuff.
Okay.
But in a few days, in 3 more days, you'll have cat brood starting to develop. So if you do oxalic acid vapor, do it quick, do it soon.
Sure.
Otherwise, I'd be planning to do something stronger a little late, pretty soon.
Okay.
But with new queens, I'm a little wary of putting Formic Pro on a brand new hive like that one, but oxalic acid is a good one.
Okay. Oxalic acid. Got
And
it.
have we taken the
Oh, we didn't take the bottom board out of this one.
the bottom?
Okay, yeah, sure. See this little tab here?
Yep.
And there's the detritus from the emerging stuff. That is not that's just a little bug of some sort eating the stuff down here. A few of these could be mites, the black ones, but I don't think you've got many.
Still looks pretty good.
I don't see any issues here, but this is not a great way to assess
To
for
test
mites.
it,
The
yeah.
proper
Right,
thing
right.
is to do the alcohol wash.
Yep. I have the little.
It's a good thing that if you pull that out and you see a whole bunch of mites, you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
gone
a
too far,
precursor for
probably.
that. You're like,
Yeah.
holy, I better do something now. But
Okay.
but yeah, no, you're
Okay.
doing a good job
You're
with your
looking
hives.
great.
You are. You're looking great, and don't ever lose hope. I mean, you're doing it. These are great. These are
This is
great.
actually a rescue visit for my emotions.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Thank you.
That's right.
Right, now, before your emotions take one more really serious hit,
Yeah.
we have a lot of bears around the area.
Okay.
It's only a matter of time before they eventually find these hives. So I'd look at getting an electric fence.
Okay. Okay.
You're far enough away that you could clear an area, you could attach it to the tree and that sort of
yeah,
thing
put it
there.
around.
But
Okay.
I'd look into that because there's been some sightings not far away from here.
Good to know.
And you've got a nice little habitat back here for them
Yeah, look
to
at that.
make their way
What you'll find is bits of the hive dragged through.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
sort of
I saw
thing.
your video or your.
in the city.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yep. So if they can
Awful.
find them in the city,
Yeah, they'll find them anyway.
I'll find them here.
And you're close enough to the house that you could use like a plug-in one,
Sure. Yeah.
which is a third of the price of the solar energizer one. So,
Which bear? The one inside or?
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank
All
you so
right.
much.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right, well, there you have it. Her hives are in great shape. They did have some swarms, which is common, especially, for new people just starting out. I mean, as we said earlier, Peter and I have had swarms as well, so swarms happen. But her hives are recuperating just as they should. Hope you guys are having a good day. We're pretty darn hot, so we're gonna go do something about that. It is in the 90s. Hot day. Take care, folks.